Hi there, and welcome back to my favorite crafty things for 2015. This is Jennifer, and I am sharing in these videos my favorite products from the year. We're almost done with the series. We have this video and one more. Be sure to check out over on my blog, I'll link below, for the whole series and discount codes and giveaways. Today I cover two categories, including finishing touches and mailing of cards. So let's first talk about finishing touches. So this is things that you can do to your cards, including embellishments and such, just things to make your cards extra special. I of course need to start with the Wink of Stella Shimmer pen. Now before I show you how it works, let me show you what you need to do when you get a brand new pen. This one's brand new. You need to just unscrew it and remove this black ring. This will allow you to activate it. So now you put it back together and you need to squeeze the barrel to get the fluid flowing to the tip of the marker. Now watch in that clear part in the center there. It'll come flowing through. It just will become a hot mess. I just squeeze this until the fluid comes to the tip of the marker and I scribble it onto my paper to get that brush tip all filled with the fluid. So you'll see that's kind of a hot mess, but all you need to do is wipe the tip off and you never need to do that again with your Wink of Stella. That's just when you need to first activate it. So when you put this down, this puts a clear shimmer on top of your project. So you can put this on top of cardstock, you can put it on top of colored images, you can use it with watercolor since it's a fluid. Now you'll see there over on the left that it looks dark where I've put it. That's just because it's still wet and this is a dark colored cardstock. When this dries, it'll just leave a shimmer on top. So here it is dried and check out that shimmer. It's just beautiful. I put a lot on the little spot there on the left and a little on the spot on the right. So you can kind of control how much you put down. This is a great way to add pizzazz to any project that you're doing. Now, just a few quick tips to kind of extend the life of the Wink of Stella. One thing is that you want to store it with the label facing up. So it needs to be stored vertically with the label facing up, and this will help to extend the life of the pen. Another thing is that eventually it will, of course, run out. You'll run out of the fluid inside, but often I found that there's still some shimmer in there. And if you add some water into it, you can kind of reactivate it and use it a bit longer. Now, of course, it's not going to be the same because you're just adding water and there's not as much shimmer left. However, it still is something that you can use on some projects here and there. All you have to do is open up the pen, remove this part from the barrel, add a little bit of water, put it back in, and shake it. Again, it's not going to be the same, but it's a great way to get a little bit of a longer life out of it. And I just use that pen for watercolor. Instead of using water, I can use the shimmer water that's left behind in this. So that's a great way to extend the life. Another finishing touch that I like is Glossy Accents. Now there are two size bottles. This is a small size, and you can see it's got the fine tip to it that's kind of fine, and you can put little touches of clear here and there. You can use this as an adhesive too, but I like to use it just as a shiny coating. Now, sometimes this gets clogged. Actually, it gets clogged pretty frequently for people. So there are a few solutions. I have a video that talks more about these adhesive solutions, and I'll link to that here and below. One is that you can ditch the cap and instead put like the little hang tag that you get from clothing in it, and that keeps it from getting clogged when it's not in use. So I just store it with that little hang tag tucked inside, and that seems to do the trick. This is something that Tim Holtz taught me, and it works quite well. Now, if you want to have a fine tip precision to the tip of your bottle, you can use the Quilled Creations top. It's a little bottle that comes with this top. You just unscrew the top from it and put it on top of your Glossy Accents, which I show in the video that I'll link to here. This is my favorite solution. I find that if I kind of burp it and get the air back in the nozzle when I'm done and wipe the tip off and put the cap on quickly, I never have this getting clogged, and I get a super fine tip precision to it. If it does get clogged, you can take a super fine needle and put that into the tip, and that'll clear it up with no problem. I really like the solution. I know some people have had trouble with it, but I promise if you put the cap on quickly after using, it should be okay. Another solution, if you have a big bottle of Glossy Accents, is to take the top off and put this top on instead. This is from Scrap Perfect, and I will link to the one that I use. Now, this is a great solution if you have the big bottle, and it has this little pin that goes into the nozzle so that it keeps it from getting clogged. Again, I will link to a video that talks more about these, but remember, there are solutions to make your Glossy Accents last a long time. Another finishing touch I recommend is craft foam. This is the inexpensive fun foam that we played with as a kid. Now, I like to get a big pack of the white. This is about 2 millimeters thick, and I use this for a few things. One is you can use this for added dimension on your cards, and I'll link to a video that talks about why I do that. You can also die cut this. It die cuts beautifully, and you can use it as embellishments on your card. Now this is a large pack of this white foam, so what I do is go ahead and cut it down as soon as I get it into pieces that are slightly smaller than a note card. These just are more manageable and ready to go whenever I need them. Now this craft foam is also available in colors, and I'll link to one of the variety packs that I really like. Now these you can die cut and use as embellishments as is, or you can add heat to them with a heat gun after you die cut them, and then you can shrink them actually, and I'll link to a video that shows how to do that. It's a great way to kind of get more out of this inexpensive product. I also like to use glitter craft foam for fun, quick embellishments. Now this actually has a sticky back to it so that it has adhesive on the back already, which is great. It usually die cuts quite nice. If it's not die cutting completely, try adding a shim to your die cut machine, and that should cut it nicely. I don't usually use the adhesive back on the other craft foams because I like the flexibility of adding my own adhesive, but you can always use that option if you want to. Okay, so this year sequins are all the rage. They're great to add to cards, very inexpensive, and you can use them in shaker cards. There are two companies that I reach for often. One is Pretty Pink Posh. She has an unbelievable selection of sequins in every color combination and shape you can imagine. I really like her stars and hearts, and I'll come back in a moment and share more of her products that I really like. Another company that I like for sequins is Lucy's Cards Little Things Sequins. These have beautiful color combinations, and there's a variety of shapes and sizes and colors in one pack. So you're ready to go. So if you're going to do a shaker card, you can just grab this, put it inside, and you're ready. You've got a great mix. You don't have to do yourself. There are always fun little shapes in these, like that last one had little flowers, the first one had some stars. Some of the holiday ones, like this one, even has snowmen and reindeer. So you got a great mix in one little package. So you can see these two companies offer beautiful options. If you want something more basic, a place to start, there are two different clear packs that I like. One is this one from Pretty Pink Posh called Sparkling Clear. Now this has a great variety of sizes. There's 4 different sizes in here, and they match whatever project you're doing. Now these here on the right that I'm taking out are the Moonshine mix from Simon Says Stamp. You can see they're similar. However, in the Simon Says Stamp set, there are some super tiny sequins that the Pretty Pink Posh doesn't have. And those kind of have some dimension to it that look like little rhinestones when you add them to your card. So I actually use both of them. The Pretty Pink Posh has 4 different sizes, whereas the Simon I think only has 3. So I use them both. I just like the different size options they have. Also from Pretty Pink Posh are these clear droplets. There are 2 sizes. There's a smaller and the large, and these have some good dimension to them. So you have to think about that when you're mailing them, and I'll give some tips for that later in this video. But these look like little drops of water on your project, and they look really cool, especially on a white background. They're easy to add. Just use some Ranger Multi-Medium, just a tiny little drop, and put the little droplet on top, and it'll hold there nicely. These are just great little accents to add to any card, and you'll be seeing me use these a lot. I just got my hands on them a few weeks ago, and I can't get enough. Here's what they look like after the adhesive dried. It looks like little drops of water on the top of your projects. I like these so much that I had to go out and buy a couple extra packs to have on hand. Another fun embellishment that I'm using mostly for shaker cards and to add little accents on cards are these prills. Now these are a little more expensive than the other embellishments I've shown you, so I only recommend these if you're really into shaker cards or just love the look of these tiny little beads to add to cards. Now there are no holes in these little beads, and there's a variety of sizes, and they're so much fun. I'll link to a card where I use some of these, but if you are, again, addicted to shakers, this is something unique you can put inside. Okay, so I'll be honest, I don't use stickers a whole lot, but I really like these from 7 Paper. This is a Studio Calico company. They're called Baxter stickers. They're puffy stickers that are dainty and gold. So they're fun to kind of add on top of a card anywhere you want if you just want a quick sentiment. I use these on gift bags a lot and on envelopes for cards that I'm going to hand to somebody. And I'll actually link here to a video where I showed some tips for perfect placement of these letter stickers on a card. It's really fun to add something a little bit different than a stamp sentiment here and there. I'm asked often why I don't use ribbon on my cards, and that's because I mail most of my cards, and the ribbon bows never end up looking nice after they've been squished in an envelope. So I like to use Mayart's natural twine. It's very, very inexpensive. I think it's like $15 for this roll, and there's 400 yards on it. So you can use as much as you want. It ties very easily. It's thin, so it goes to the mail nicely. And I find that natural twine works with a variety of style of cards. It seems to work on anything. And again, it ties nicely, so it's easy to make a super tiny bow. I also like to use the DMC Metallic Threads. So there is a gold, like a champagne color, and a silver. These again are also inexpensive. You can use them in your sewing machine if you want, but you can also make quick little bows to add just a little bit of fun to your card, again with no bulk. It's also fun to tie a few strings of this together with a ribbon or that natural twine that I showed you, just for added texture. Okay, so now that we've covered finishing touches and embellishments for cards, let's talk about mailing our cards or giving our cards. We've spent so much time working on our cards, so now it's time to take extra care in giving them to the recipient. Sometimes when I give a card, I use a little Post-it on the inside. So I write my greeting, my message, on this little Post-it and put it inside the card. That way the recipient can remove this Post-it and pass the card on to somebody else. It's a great way to add some extra life to our handmade cards. Simon Says Stamps sells these Post-its that explain that the person's supposed to remove this and send it on. Another option is to head over to Hero Arts, and I'll give a link here, that has a free download that you print and cut and temporarily adhere into your card with the same idea. I like the convenience of that little Post-it note, but this is another option if you need a larger area to write your message. Let's next talk about envelopes. So I've spent all this time and energy and, let's face it, money on all these handmade cards that I've created. So I want to make sure that I use a nice envelope to hold them. The envelopes that I by far use the most are the Hero Arts envelopes. I like the colors they come in, the quality of the envelope, and that decorative flap I think is just beautiful. They're available in a bunch of different color packs, so I encourage you to check these out for good, high quality envelopes. These are the A2 size envelopes, so they work with 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note cards or anything smaller. Now, if you're looking for an inexpensive white envelope, say you're doing a bunch of card sets or you just need bulk envelopes, I did find a pretty good quality envelope. They're about 100 in a pack, and I find that they're good enough quality to make it through the mail. Now, I usually, of course, reach for those Hero Arts envelopes because I like the look and the color, but these are good to have on hand also. Sometimes I think it's fun to send my cards in a vellum envelope instead of a regular envelope. This way you can see whatever card you've designed from the outside of the envelope. These are from Avery, Elle, and I've found that when I've mailed them in the past, they've held up just fine. And this is just something fun and different. You can put a label on the front to write your address, or you can write with a permanent pen right on the envelope itself. There are 10 in the pack here. I think it's about 29-pound vellum, and they're really fun just for something different. I also like Lawn Fawn's 4-bar envelopes. This is for the 4-bar note card size. So you can see they're a little bit smaller than the regular A2. Sometimes it's fun to create a smaller card, and these envelopes are great. They also sell them in craft too. This is a fun little tool that I've had for a while and I've been using it and love it. It's the Lettermate address guide. So you put this on the front of your envelope and then you can write the address in it, and it causes you to write it evenly spaced and line it up perfectly. After all, we spent all the time on the card. We might as well make sure the envelope looks nice. It can also help you to center your address or do left aligned. This is a really handy tool if you're like me and don't have the best handwriting ever. Now, I've talked a lot about these in the past. These are the From Me to You postage stamps, the U.S. postage. These are forever stamps, so they'll work on cards going around the U.S. I just like that they have that sweet message that works perfectly on a handmade card. I will admit I've bought a lot of sheets of this so that I'll have them to last for a while. I really think every card maker should have a personalized stamp or two. You can either get maybe like a hand-stamped die to stamp on the back of cards with your name on it, or a return address stamp, or even here I took my logo and had it made into a stamp. It's got this engraved wood that's beautiful and perfect for a decorative piece too. I got these all made by Bossy Joscie. She creates the most beautiful stamps and is so easy to work with. So you could create something extra special that you can use over and over again on your cards or set out as just a little decorative piece in your craft room. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about mailing bulky cards. So here's a card that I made with Google Eyes. It has a lot of dimension to it. If I just put this into an envelope and mailed it, it would get squashed and the envelope would probably tear apart. So I buy mail padding. It comes in a big roll and I cut it down into smaller pieces, and I have a bunch of them on hand in a drawer. And I take one of these pieces of mail padding and I put it on top of my card, wherever the embellishments are, put it in the envelope, and that helps protect it through the mail. Now this will require extra postage because it is thicker. Just a little bit of extra postage should cover it. You can check with your post office, but this is a great way to protect your card and your envelope as you're mailing it. This is my favorite trick for mailing any kind of cards with embellishments. Now, if I really want to be sure that the card makes it okay or there's a lot going on the card, I do have these very inexpensive padded envelopes. These are kind of thin padded envelopes because they're super inexpensive. They're a little bit big for your cards, so you can do bigger cards if you want to in there. But I use these all the time, and it really is a great way to protect the cards that we spend a lot of time on. For something a little higher quality, you can try the Uline padded envelopes. I link to all these below. It's a little bit smaller. It's probably better quality, I would say. It's a little bit thicker, but it does cost a bit more. And I find both of them make it through the mail just fine. Now, I also like to make cards to give as sets, like note card sets to give to teachers or to friends as gifts. I really like these clear card boxes. In here, you can hold a bunch of envelopes and cards. You could even put like a fun pen or some postage inside to give note cards as a gift. This is a great way to use our love of card making to make something special for someone. I will link to a video here where I show a note card set that I created and how I put all the pieces into this clear box. And I wanted to throw in one more random thing. These are the random quotes of kindness. I created these as part of my Share Handmade Kindness campaign, and my friend Heather is selling these in an Etsy shop. If you just wanted to create a quick thinking of you note to tape onto somebody's window or put in their car or slip in their lunch, these are really fun because they're ready to go, or you can stamp on them and decorate them if you wanted to. So they all have an empty space on the back where you can write a little personalized greeting. I just think they're a fun way to give someone a quick pick-me-up. Okay, so that's it. My favorite finishing touches and mailing products for year 2015. I link to these products in my YouTube description below, but I really encourage you to go over to my blog where I have more sources for the products and discount codes and giveaways. You can find my blog post by clicking here on the top left. In the middle, I link to 3 more things that I think you might find helpful. The first is the hub for all my favorite crafty things for this year. The middle talks more about those tops that I put on my glossy accent bottles. And on the right, we have tips for using craft foam on your cards. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon with one more video in this series.